Hey guys, so somebody commented yesterday about not being able to get a feeling in time, like before falling asleep. And I've seen a lot of people, this is like a main problem that people have with the Neville Goddard state akin to sleep thing, which can be really difficult. You know, I find it difficult to even like get into a feeling right before bed. This idea of, you know, looping this whole scene until you fall asleep. I can see why that would be very difficult for people. I started out in this whole thing 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, reading this. Well, I started in earnest when I was like 24. I started getting serious about this stuff at 24 with Wallace Wattles' The Science of Getting Rich. And he doesn't, nothing in that book, I don't think, I should give it a reread, but nothing in that book talks about the time before sleep. He basically says that if you have a burning desire for something, it's going to be on your mind all the time. And all you have to do is come up with basically an image of the thing that you want. He does say to go into the scene, like if you want a house, go in there, fill it with all the details, walk around it, you know, just like Neville Goddard does. But basically then you hold a snapshot of this in your mind, and that impresses the thinking substance that permeates the interspaces of the universe. And that thing will then be, the likeness of that thing will be created in reality. So it's very similar, but there's not a sleep element to Wallace. So I never did that. This was a brand new Neville Goddard thing when I first read Neville Goddard and got into this whole thing. This idea of the time before sleep being important was new to me, and honestly I disregarded it for the most part until just a few weeks ago when I started purposely falling asleep in the feeling of being successful. I've been purposely generating this feeling right before I go to sleep, and I'm also somebody who falls asleep almost instantly. So this isn't a lot of, you know, it requires a little bit of effort to get in the state, but it doesn't require much to stay in it, because as soon as I'm in it, I basically just knock right the fuck out. And so I actually think that if you're somebody who falls asleep really quickly, that the solution for you is definitely to generate that feeling right before sleep. And if you fall asleep too quickly to even generate the feeling once you're in bed, you have to do it before you actually get in bed, or do it while you're still sitting up. Sorry if this feels obvious, but I've gotten a bunch of comments about this since I started making videos about it. And obviously you have to get into that feeling before you fall asleep. So that might mean doing it for a few minutes, sitting up in a chair before you get into bed, and then just taking it with you. You know, nobody can, I don't think, tell you exactly how to generate a feeling for yourself. Only you know how you experience, you know, feelings that come up from events in your outer life. You're going to have to figure out how you do that. You know, what are you thinking when you feel a feeling? Stuff like that. And then, you know, artificially generate that on purpose and fall asleep that way. For me, it's certain phrases. You know, I can kind of feel this sort of feeling of excited accomplishment. I know what that feels like sort of in my gut. And so I just sort of try to kind of start feeling that on purpose, and then intensify it by saying stuff like, I can't believe how well everything's working out. I did it. I did everything I was supposed to do today. I nailed everything on my list of priorities. Like, I got it. It's all happening. Because for me, this is a proactive thing. I mean, other people seem to want to sit around and let things just happen, which of course they still do. To me, things just happen. But, you know, if I'm going for a goal, I can come up with 20 actions that I guarantee will further that goal. And when I have laid out something I want to do and then I actually do it, even if I don't want to, it is the biggest feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day. So that's one of the things that's one of my things. I'm like, I nailed every single thing on the to-do list today, and it's all, you know, I'm that much closer. Just this feeling of accomplishment and pride. I generate it right before going to sleep, fall asleep in it. Now I've done this for a while now, a couple weeks, and it's pretty amazing. So, you know, if you fall asleep really fast, too fast to do a SATS scene, that's what I would recommend doing. Get it while you're still up. I mean, what else can you do? When you go into the bathroom to brush your teeth, start thinking about it then. Start generating that then. Or, you know, before you lay down, sit up for a few minutes And you don't even have to close your eyes to generate a feeling. Just, get it. And then I think this is a superpower. Like, if you fall right to sleep, all you got to do is get that feeling and boom, you're done. You don't have to lay there continuing to feel that way before your mind drifts off to some other thing, and then you fall asleep in a different state. So that's a plus, not a detriment. But also I wanted to talk about what I have done, not in SATS, but everything I've done has involved a certain level of visualizing. When I was losing weight, when I started out at 190 in that area, and I thought ended up being right, that basically my goal weight where I wanted to really end up and stay was 119. So I would imagine, you have the experience, or you can have the experience of stepping on the scale every day. I did. So I knew exactly what it felt like to step on the scale. I'd done it a million times. I knew what the scale looked like the back of my hand. And so it's very easy for me to feel the muscles in my legs as they step on the scale and see what the scale looks like. What the number, the little thing on the scale does, its little loopy loop thing before the number pops up. It was very easy to imagine that, and then just imagine 119.9 and the feeling of I accomplished this goal. I did that too many times to count. I didn't do it constantly all day, every day, but that little scene, I did that throughout the whole time I was doing it. Just anytime I thought to, basically. So probably a couple times a week. I just ran through that little scene, sort of feeling it physically in my mind. And it took 5 seconds, and I did that all the time. So where I'm going with that is that if you're struggling to come up with a SATS scene that you can feel as real, you can physically run through something in real life most of the time to kind of like construct the feeling of the scene, the physical feeling of the scene. So like, for example, I'll give you a money example. I thought, a week and a half ago or so, we went to a casino, and I went to the ATM and I withdrew $500 and took it out, folded it, put it in my wallet. And as I was walking away, I thought, wow, because I was broke like 15 years, not that long ago. 15 years might seem like a long time to you youngins, but I'm almost 43. So it just, I don't know, time starts going by faster. It really seems like it was yesterday that, I had to count every penny, basically. If I was going to the ATM, I'd have to check my balance and do some mental math before I even took out like $20. So I sort of had a moment there where I was like, wow, things change immensely and become completely natural. Like, I just went there. I didn't even check my balance. I just like took out $500, took it out, didn't even count it. That was probably not smart, but took it out, didn't even count it because I was in a hurry to get back home so we could get in the car and go, and just folded it, shoved it in my wallet, and basically instantly was like, what do I need to go to Panera now and get a drink for the road. You know what I mean? It was just like completely natural. And I was thinking, man, this is like a really great SAT scene for somebody, because you can go to an ATM, go through the whole rigmarole of typing in your shit and putting your card in and withdraw money. Like, you could go do this today, assuming that you have like enough money to do this, and have this whole scene, like have just actually physically run through it. And then in your mind, swap in a much larger amount and some thoughts that go along with that. Like, it's so great that I don't have to worry about this. I love that I love that I don't even have to check my balance anymore. I love that I have so much money that $500 is just like, whatever. This is the kind of thing that, that's the kind of shit that you can feel, and that actually, I think, does create, change. My ex and I used to go a couple times a year when we were first like starting our business that is now very lucrative. We would a few times a year go to this very, very ritzy town, and drive around and look at everything and just sort of like decide what we would want, and we would go like sit in, there was an Einstein Brothers Bagels there, and we would go like get breakfast and sit in the window, and it was kind of like a downtown area, and just look out at it and look at the people who were the execs in their suits that were getting on the train to go into Chicago. And we would just kind of like look at them, and feel like, hey, we already don't have to go to work. Like we're already sort of beyond where some of these ritzy guys are, in a way. And we would just kind of sit there looking at it and just sort of absorbing the vibe and feeling like we belonged there. And, that kind of stuff, like it really, truly starts to sink into you and change you and make you start to believe that you're this different person, and then you become it. It just happens. It's just allowing this mental change to take place, and these little things that you do to really feel what it would feel like to be that person. It really does start to feel like it's you, and that's when the outer stuff really starts to change through you, I think, for the most part. So like if you're trying to lose weight, you go step on the scale and close your eyes and feel what it feels like in the blackness of not, having a visual image. Feel what that feels like, and then, imagine what it would say if you weighed what you want to weigh. Go to an ATM, I don't know, get a freaking stuffed animal and hug it and pretend that it's a person that something that you can actually physically feel and do, and just sort of physically memorize. And then when you do these scenes, it's a lot easier. You're not just like conjuring up a movie and then trying to like inject yourself into it. Those are my two big examples, the weight thing and the money thing that I just experienced. I didn't actually do that ATM thing when I was becoming more wealthy, but as I was doing it, I was just like, here's another thing you could do. Yeah, so I don't know, I hope that helped somebody with something. If you're really struggling with the Neville Goddard stuff, I would go for a different voice, because you absolutely do not have to follow this letter of the law idea that's been sort of developed around Neville Goddard. If I had just entered the scene not really understanding my role in creating everything, and I tried to do it starting with all these Neville Goddard like techniques that people have come up with, I really just think I would have been lost. It would have just felt like I was participating in some charade. So if that's what you're feeling like, start to try to think of this from more real terms. Like, what am I really doing here? I'm turning into a different person. I'm trying to feel what it would actually feel like to be that person, so that I can more naturally start acting like that person and start generating experiences, from the point of view of being that person, so that the whole thing just sort of shifts into that. That's what you're really doing. Not, activating some magical thing. But there's always the divine intelligence part of this. And who knows how that works, but it definitely is there doing something, putting people in the right place at the right time. That's the little magic element. But God helps those who help themselves. And, it's supposed to be an aid, not just something that you, have wipe your ass for you. That's my opinion. And I know it's many other people do not share that opinion, but this is my channel, so I'm going to say it and hope that it helps the people like me, and have a great day.